I think there's this important distinction that not enough people make about how we use our free will. So I want to talk about it. So to give a brief kind of backstory to explain like where I'm going. A few months ago, I was in a really brief dating situation, and at one point, the conversation of physical boundaries came up. And so, as somebody who follows Jesus, right, like submits my free will underneath his free will because I've gone the route of choosing my own things that I think are right and good, and I've crashed out, right? I've learned that submitting my free will to what Jesus teaches me is the route to flourishing, right? And so not only that, but within those confines, I have also gotten to this place of leadership in my church body that I've been a part of, and now I get to serve it. And one of the aspects of my employment there was I signed a contract, literally a contract, saying that I agreed with all of those same principles that I already live out in my daily life and I already submit myself to. And one of those is that intimacy is to be had within the confines of covenantal marriage. So, and the point just kind of came up for me in this conversation that when my, free will starts to get a little fuzzy or I start to want to backslide a little bit, I know that I am not only just a member of my church, but I am serving my church body, and that I've submitted my free will kind of to them in a degree to hold me accountable to those things that I signed and agreed to. And I, at the time, had no idea that he, I guess, interpreted that as me being somebody who didn't use free will, that didn't think outside of systems, that like needed a system to give me a framework, and that I was just kind of following mindlessly like what an institution was telling me. And when that came up, as you know, things were ending, so there was no real conversation around it, no way to rebuttal. I had no idea he thought that, because there were so many other times in when we would talk and spend time together where I was pretty outspoken about a lot of things and the way that I move through the world. And it just really hit me like a semi truck. I was like, I have never once in my whole life been told that I don't think for myself. And how did A plus B equal C, right? And so what I really want to say here is to the people that do think critically, that do think for themselves, that have a gift of leadership, but maybe don't have it placed correctly. Maybe it's a little misguided, a little ill-developed, or being developed by the wrong voices and patterns and systems even, okay? If you can see yourself at all in that, or if you have like a level of church hurt and you feel like the only way to exercise your free will is by walking in rebellion to all institutions, to all communities and systems of accountability, you're not any more of a free thinker than the person who is exactly like you, but decided to submit to, again, like Jesus above all else. So that when they do submit to imperfect institutions, they still can think critically and actually be of benefit to the institution. And so for me, I submit to Christ alone, to his authority alone, to what is biblical alone. If my church in any way, shape, or form, when I signed that little contract, was out of alignment with scripture, I wouldn't have signed it, one. But two, because I'm submitted to Christ, I have the freedom to be a part of an imperfect institution, because the church is imperfect, and to be an agent of flourishing within it. Now, do I have the bandwidth to fix the whole church and the whole country of America or the whole church of the world? No. But I do have autonomy and authority over my immediate surroundings and me, the person, and what I choose to do with that. And because I've seen how my own free will, my own rebellion from institutions and from accountability leads to literal death in my own body, I know that I do not have the authority over myself and like the strength over myself that I think I do. I actually need accountability. I actually need people to sharpen me and to check me. And it takes a level of humility to admit that, right? To admit that my free will alone and unchecked might look kind of cool, like, oh, she's like, you know, so strong and so independent and all these things from the outside. But it brings me to death in my decisions. But when I use that free will, when I use my mind, and I know that Christ is my center, and that because of that, I'm able to go into these imperfect places and be surrounded by imperfect people and not just follow the grain, but support the things that are good, challenge the things that need challenging, and ultimately still allow these imperfect people and places to form me into a better person and offer that same thing in return. To me, that's the best use of free will. And I've tried a lot of different routes for free will. That's the best route that I found. And I just think that's an important distinction for people that are just trying to figure out like what free will actually looks like. It is not just simply a rebellious person or a lone wolf person. That's actually the immature version of the gift. The real gift of leadership is being so submitted to Christ that you walk in that humility, and that when he sends you to places and people that are deeply flawed, you know how to still receive and give to them in such a way that the kingdom is reflected. So anyway, those are my thoughts for tonight.